1950 USA 1-cent coin. Today, we're journeying back to the dawn of the atomic age, to an era of optimism and prosperity, to shine a spotlight on a humble copper disc, the 1950 US 1-cent coin. Now I know what you're thinking. A 1950 penny? There must be millions of those. And you'd be right, in a way. But is there a secret hidden within that seemingly common coin, a rare variety or a subtle error that could transform it from spare change into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece? Well, buckle up, because we're about to explore the fascinating truth behind this mid-century marvel. We'll debunk myths, reveal what actual million-dollar US pennies look like, and show you exactly what to look for if you want to find a truly valuable Lincoln cent. Let's find out if your 1950 penny is a hidden gem or just, well, a penny. First, let's get acquainted with our main character. The 1950 Lincoln cent features the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design that has graced the penny since 1909. On the reverse, you'll find the elegant Lincoln Memorial, a design that was introduced in 1959. Ah, hold on. My mistake. Actually, in 1950, the reverse of the Lincoln cent still featured the classic, wheat ears, design, also by Victor David Brenner. The Lincoln Memorial reverse didn't arrive until 1959. Apologies for that slip. It's an easy detail to overlook, but important for accuracy. Now, for the critical numbers. In 1950, the U.S. Mint produced an absolutely staggering number of pennies across its three mints: Philadelphia, No Mint Mark 283, 728, 000 Denver, D Mint Mark 335, 010, 000 San Francisco, S Mint Mark 118, 505, 00. That's a grand total of 737,243,000 1-cent coins. Nearly 3/4 billion pennies. With such massive production numbers, a regular 1950 penny, regardless of its mint mark, is incredibly common. If you find a typical 1950 penny in circulation today, its value is, quite frankly, very close to 1 cent. Even in uncirculated condition, most 1950 pennies, P, D, or S, might only fetch $1 or $2 for a collector. So, the idea of a standard 1950 penny being worth millions? It's a non-starter. When we hear $1,000,000 US penny, collectors' minds immediately go to legendary coins, some of the absolute titans of American numismatics. The 1950 penny, even with the most extreme error imaginable, would struggle to reach these heights because of the sheer abundance of common examples. The 1793 chain cent. This is one of the earliest U.S. pennies, from the very first year of U.S. mint production. With its controversial chain Mary reverse, it's a profound piece of early American history. A top-grade example can easily fetch over $1 million at auction. The 1943 copper penny era coin. This is the ultimate U.S. era penny. In 1943, due to wartime copper shortages, pennies were supposed to be struck on zinc-coated steel planchets. However, a tiny number were accidentally struck on leftover copper planchets from 1942. Fewer than 20 are known. One sold for $1.7 million in 2010. This is a genuine $1 million penny. The inverse of the 1943 error. In 1944, pennies reverted to bronze, but a few were mistakenly struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943. These are also extremely rare and valuable, though not quite at the same level as the 1943 copper. One sold for $408,000 in 2008. These are the coins that truly command $1 million prices. Notice a pattern? They are from the very early days of the U.S. Mint, or they represent profound, well-documented, and extremely rare minting errors tied to specific historical events like wartime material changes. The 1950 penny simply doesn't fit into this category. So, if a common 1950 penny isn't worth millions, are there any valuable 1950 pennies? Yes, there can be, but we're talking about a significant drop from millions to hundreds or thousands. For truly exceptional examples, we're looking for genuine, albeit subtle, minting errors, high-grade uncirculated coins, While common, a 1950 penny in truly pristine, red, full original copper luster, mint state condition, e.g., PCGS 67 red, can still be worth a few $100s. The 1950s, with its lower mintage, might fetch slightly more in top grades. This is where parts of the design, like the date or lettering, appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment when the die itself was created. These can occur on any year, but they must be significant to be valuable. For 1950, a prominent DDO or DDR would be a significant find, potentially worth hundreds or even low thousands for a strong, certified example. However, widely recognized and highly valuable 1950 DDOs/DDRs aren't as famous as those for other years, like the 1955 DDO. Sometimes, a mint mark, like the D or S, was punched into the die more than once, with a slight shift, causing a visible overlap or shadow. These are common for many years, but some specific, prominent RPMs can be valuable. A strong 1950 RPM might be worth tens or hundreds of dollars. When the coin blank isn't perfectly centered when struck by the dies, resulting in a portion of the design being missing and an unstruck crescent of blank metal. A dramatically off-center 1950 penny can be worth several $100s, depending on how much of the design is missing and its overall appeal. The key is that these errors need to be significant, verifiable, and certified by a reputable grading service to command top dollar. And even then, we are talking hundreds, maybe low thousands, not millions. There is no known, universally recognized multi-so. If the 1950 penny isn't a secret millionaire maker, why does this rumor pop up so often? It taps into a very human desire, the dream of finding vast wealth in an everyday object. The era coin allure, the stories of the 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double die obverse are so compelling that people naturally extend that hope to other common years, thinking, what if my penny is the next big error? Misinformation and clickbait, the internet, unfortunately, is a breeding ground for exaggerated claims. Is your 1950 penny worth millions? Headlines grab attention, even if the answer is almost always no. Misidentification. Sometimes, a novice collector might misidentify a minor die anomaly as a major error, or confuse their 1950 penny with a genuinely rare coin from a different year. It's important to approach coin collecting with realistic expectations and to always verify information from reputable numismatic sources. While your 1950 US 1 cent is unlikely to buy you a yacht, it still holds a charming piece of American history. It was minted at a time when the nation was thriving, recovering from war, and looking forward to a prosperous future. It witnessed the rise of rock and roll, the golden age of television, and the burgeoning space race. The true value of coins, beyond their market price, lies in their ability to connect us to the past. They are tangible artifacts that have passed through countless hands, witnessing history as it unfolded. So, go ahead and check your change. Who knows, you might find a beautiful uncirculated 1950s, or a fascinating, verifiable error from another year. The real treasure in coin collecting isn't always about the millions, but about the thrill of discovery and the stories these little pieces of metal tell. Thanks for watching.